Building a business takes grit, resilience, and a willingness to keep climbing. Welcome to The Climb, where I get to sit down on a monthly basis with local business leaders here in the Knoxville community, kind of get behind the scenes look of their stories, the wins that they're most proud of, some of the challenges they've had to overcome, and what they've learned along the way. Because with any journey, there's always going to be somebody ahead of us on the mountain that we can learn from. There's going to be somebody behind us that we can help along the way. That's what this show is all about. I'm your host, Jonathan Polk with Peachtree Planning. Before I get started, I want to highlight that at Peachtree Planning, we work with business owners at different points along the journey, whether you're just starting out, whether you're in the middle, looking to get to the next level, or whether you're nearing the end, planning for that exit strategy. We walk alongside the business owners at whatever stage you find yourselves in, because we want to protect what's the greatest asset on your personal balance sheet, which is your business. We do that through business continuity, succession planning, along with protecting the unexpected, because we never know when we're going to exit the business. And so we want to make sure to protect it before that moment happens. Today I've got Andrew McGranagan.
Got it, yeah, McGranagan.
Yes. McGranagan from Wallace Realty here with me today to have a conversation on the history of Wallace Realty, and then kind of how he's come into play over the years. And I'm excited to kind of dig right in. Thanks for being here, Andrew.
It's my pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. I know Wallace Realty has been around for 90 years. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the history of Wallace Realty.
Well, it's very proud of our history. We've been a local independent company since 1936. Started on Gay Street. It's been family owned that whole time by the Wallace family. We're in our third generation now. Most recently, Jim and George Wallace have been leading the company for the last 40 to 50 years, mm-hmm. and just incredible people, strong values, integrity, professionalism, commitment to training, commitment to our customer, commitment to our agent, and unwavering commitment to that, which is rare when you see, a lot of people, try and focus on, what makes the most sense for their business, doesn't always make the most sense for the consumer. And we really take the opposite view of that.
Yeah.
We want to do what's best for the consumer always, and we know that if in doing so, we'll build a reputable brand and one that can last.
Yeah.
And so we're in year 90 this year. We're celebrating our 90th. We have 12 offices now. From that one office on Gay Street, we now have 12 offices surrounding East Tennessee. And we're excited. We're thrilled to be a part of this community.
And I guess, you've spoken a whole lot on the history. To me, it starts with culture. Mm-hmm. What makes your culture a little bit different?
Well, I think it goes back to that decision early on. We're going to lead with integrity, mm-hmm. And that was from the top down with the Wallaces. It's who I learned from. It's who our managers learn from, and how they run their offices, and it's how our agents communicate with the communities they serve and with their consumers. It's that approach to doing the right thing, being a Christian-based organization. We're proud of that. But leading that way, leading with integrity and professionalism, putting the consumer first in our decisions, whether that's the agent and how we serve our agents, or how our agents serve their customers, the buyers and sellers they work with, making sure that their best interests are looked after, and just not sacrificing on that. So that's kind of how you build this culture. Mm-hmm. And from there, we have a very collaborative group of managers and agents that really want to support each other. They want to see each other win. And they want to see each other do things the right way and do it well. And so we're proud of that. It takes effort and consistency, and when you build it over 90 years, you get there.
Absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't have lasted this long if you didn't have the right culture.
Yeah.
Like I said, it starts from the inside, and then obviously, the buyers are drawn to you for that very reason, because they know they're going to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. The people that work for Wallace Realty know they're going to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. It sounds like, the integrity that your culture is built on is going to be around for years to come.
Well, we hope so. We use that as our core foundation, mm-hmm. is our values. But being willing to change and adapt to serve the market, serve the community, mm-hmm. and adapt to the times. I don't think you can survive a long period of time without being willing to change.
Yeah.
Willing to adapt to new technologies and new ways of serving the community and the customer. But if you have that foundation that your culture is built off of, I think that's how you build a really strong company, and that's what we continue to try and do.
100%. Know a little bit about Wallace Realty. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I understand you're Knoxville born and raised.
I am. Yeah, I grew up in Farragut. I went to Sacred Heart. My mom taught at Sacred Heart for a long time, and then at Catholic.
Okay.
And so I went Sacred Heart from kindergarten through 8th grade. And then I went to West High School and graduated from West in 2005. Graduated from University of Tennessee in 2009. I was a marketing major and marketing graduate from the business school. 2009 was a great time to graduate. Terrible job market, if anyone knew what was going on.
The market crash wasn't very good back then.
No. So we basically, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, we kind of decided, hey, whoever gets a job in a city around Knoxville, we'll move there and try and make it work.
Okay.
And so she got a job at a bank in Nashville. I followed her there because that's what guys do. And so followed her to Nashville and took the first sales job I could get. And worked in sales for the next 7 years, and found out that I love it. I love working with people, love interacting with people, love being able to solve problems, and help them get the outcome they want, and be an advocate and an advisor. So that part of it was very natural to me, and I enjoyed it. And so we did that, and then 2015. Wallace has come calling. I had married their daughter by that point. I had married Jim Wallace's daughter, Julie. And so we're married. We're happy in Nashville. I don't know how many names they took to get to the son-in-law, but they came calling and they said, are you interested in learning the business? See if this is a fit for you. And so he's just someone that I've had tremendous respect for. And so we really thought a lot about it because we were happy in Nashville.
Right.
But getting home to Knoxville, which is always the goal of ours. We love this community. This was home for us. It still is. Was just a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And we always wanted to raise our family here. It's just a great place to raise a family. And then to be able to learn the business from Jim and George Wallace was just a blessing and an opportunity that we said yes to. So came back 2016. I started as a residential real estate agent from day one. Wanted to do things the right way, learn the business the right way. And just fell in love with the whole industry. I love every second of what I've done the last 10 years, love who I work with, love the company. And that's how we got here. Now we've got 2 boys, 6 and 8, and Bernie Doodle puppy, and, just living the dream, enjoying Knoxville.
Yeah, you have a picket fence too to go?
We do, yeah. So we're literally living the American dream. So.
How has the prior experience in sales kind of prepared you for this role that you're in right now?
Well, I think everything is sales to a certain extent, but I always wanted to make sure that, going back to what I was mentioning in the beginning with the values is I never consider myself a salesperson. I'm not selling anyone anything. I'm here to advise, to educate, to advocate for my customers and help them into the decision that's best for their family. Whether that was selling caskets, which I did spend some time doing, whether that was selling oil products, engine oil, things like that, or even working in long-term care business, or selling real estate. It's all to me. It was always the same thing. If you take care of people's needs and show that you care, then you'll get the results you want at the end of the day. But focus on them and their needs, and good things will happen. And so that prepared me for real estate. And it's the same concept in real estate.
Right.
We consider ourselves real estate advisors. So let us help you, advise you through a very large, important decision in the process. Buying and selling real estate is often the most expensive and most important investment people make in their lifetimes.
Right.
And so we take that very serious, and I love being able to guide people through that. It's a very rewarding process to see a first-time buyer get those keys, or see that person sell their home and realize a nice gain on it, and things like that I really enjoy.
Absolutely. To me, it sounds like you're not in the sales or the home business, you're in the relationship business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Probably similar to financial planning. There's a lot of parallels there. I'm sure you have the same. We have fiduciary duties to our clients that we take very seriously, and looking after their best interests, and as you do as well. And it is the relationship business. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. And so we want those consumers to be able to trust us at Wallace, trust that if they hire a Wallace real estate agent, they know they're going to be well-trained, well-suited, well-geared to help them with their needs. And we spend a lot of time developing our agents to be there.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Tell me about some challenges that you've had to overcome along the way.
Gosh, I mean, there's a new challenge every single day. But I think for me personally, if you want to look at it like from a personal standpoint, I am always, kind of just battling Mindset, I think, most importantly for me would be mindset, just understanding that, not letting doubts creep in, not letting, anxiety and self-confidence, get in the way of believing that you can go out there and are the right person for the job.
Right.
And, not worrying too much about what other people think and just focusing on what you can control and just believing in yourself, So I think in the beginning, sometimes when you start a new career and you're the son-in-law of the owner, you can have those doubts. It's like, well, what do people think about me,
Right.
really? Am I the right person for this job? Do I have the skill set I need to be successful? And so I still battle those same doubts 10 years later. And so just overcoming that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one in the business owner space that, deals with that on a daily basis. I mean, that has certain expectations that they want to live up to. Obviously, in your case, you don't want to let down the Wallace name.
No, I don't. It's been going for 90 years. I don't want it to be the one that
You don't want to drop the ball on your
drop the
watch.
ball on year 91. So that's definitely some added pressure there.
Absolutely. We talked about obstacles and challenges. What are some things that you're most proud of? Some of the accomplishments along the way.
I truly love who I work with. We have the best management team in the business. We have amazing staff. We have an amazing group of agents that just really care about deeply. And so I'm proud of those relationships. Really proud that 3 years ago we branched away from a large brand.
Okay.
We were part of the Coldwell Banker franchise up until 2023. We went back to our roots as a local independent brokerage, really committed to being flexible and being able to serve our local community. So that's why we did it, to be Wallace Real Estate, be proudly local. And it was, it was a very big transition to move 350 agents at that time.
Wow.
From a brand to a local company, basically an entire rebrand, and just have them trust us that, hey, this is the right move long term. We want to be locally independent. We want the flexibility that comes with. We want to build our own brand. And so 3 years later, we're at 503 agents and 12 offices, and have seen some great growth and opened up 5 new offices in the last year.
Okay.
So we're very excited about those accomplishments. We're excited to be, in real estate, there's been a big push for consolidation. Right. A lot of the major brands are consolidating and buying each other and grouping together. While everyone's doing that and focused on this big picture, what's best for my business, we're just doubling down on our communities and being locally independent and consumer focused and value driven. And we're very excited about our position in the market for that reason.
Yeah, it sounds like so. I mean, you didn't really take a step back to move forward. I mean, you give yourself more freedom and more control over doing the things the way you wanted to do it.
Yeah, we were proud to be part of that brand, and it was a great brand for us. It was the brand we needed at the time we were with them. But then we got to the point where we just had such incredible people running the company, and we had great tools and services to support the agents. And we had the local name of the Wallaces for 90 years, that it just made more sense to go out there, do it on our own, have that flexibility to be able to provide the tailored, hand-picked tools and services that our agents needed. Not necessarily what a brand was telling us they needed, but what our agents actually needed to be successful. And so that's what gets us excited.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've listened to your own agents. That, you're kind of like in the trenches with them, understanding what is going to help set them up for success. On the first hand, but then too, what's going to be good for the overall brand. And so it I think it's important for business to be able to listen. Everybody has a voice. Everybody's perspective is heard.
Well, I agree. I mean, that's very important to us. All of our doors are always open. Agents know that they can come into my office anytime. We do a lot of agent surveys to get their feedback. We have a leadership council made up of agents. We want their opinions. We want to hear what they're dealing with. We all listed and sold properties. Right. We know what they go through on a daily basis. We built that business. We've been there. We've been in that living room on a listing presentation. We've worked with that buyer that's frustrated with prices and interest rates. And so we know the objections they're dealing with, and we're here. We're here to encourage them and train them and support them every way we can. And we want to hear from them and exactly what they need.
Yeah, obviously that's the reason why they're still here. What's some of the advice that somebody's given you along the way to kind of help prepare you for where you're at today? Yeah,
that's a great question. Goes back to mentors that I've had, Jim and George Wallace, Claudia Stallings, our management team. Jim has always done a great job of knowing when we need to hear something, inspirational, when, things maybe not going our way and we just need to kind of regroup and commit back to our values. He shared in a management meeting several years ago, and it's been on my wall ever since. It was the 3 T's.
Okay.
And I love those. I love that idea. And the first T was being thankful. We do not have to look far to find a reason to be thankful in this world. Waking up in a free country and living in Knoxville, Tennessee, having all these great, resources at our disposal, whatever it may be, there's a million reasons to be thankful. So just remembering to thank God for that.
Yeah.
Trusting, that's hard. That's easier said than done. That trusting, hey, it's all going to work out. God has a plan.
Right.
Let's not panic on the day to day because God has a plan. Let's do the best we can today and know that it'll work out in the end, and always does. So that T was the thankful, trust, and then being a transformative leader. So that's something that I really want to be is someone that encourages, someone that has high integrity, someone that wants to see people at their best. How do we help you be the best version of yourself that you can be, whether that's an agent, a manager. So being a transformative leader, being thankful and trusting in the process. I also heard a great piece of advice from Jerry Askew. He's a local leader in our community.
Okay.
And he told us one time in a class to interact with people out of love instead of fear. And so I think too often we are interacting with each other out of fear instead of out of love. And I think what he said was key was genuinely want what's best for people.
Right.
Sometimes that might mean, hey, as much as it hurts me to say this, you know what, maybe you're better off using another agent than me. And that happens sometimes in your career. Or, hey, you know what, if making a move to another brokerage is genuinely what's best for you, like we need to support that person in doing that. So it's not always easy to say that, but just genuinely wanting what's best for others, I think is the best way to live life. It's a good motto to live by. So I keep those things on my wall, and it's just good reminders
I think
for us.
Keeping them on your wall is important because you get to, in the middle of the chaos of the day, you look up and just able to kind of breathe a little bit easier because, okay, that's what I'm here for.
Oh, yeah.
And that, it sounds like you've had some great mentors along the way. Thinking of that next generation of business owners coming behind you, what is some advice that you would, impart to them?
I just would, I would probably just share those messages, and especially like the next leaders, but the next agent, hey, be genuine in your care for others, even if it doesn't always work out your way.
Right.
And if you do that, people will see that. People will see your true colors. I always tell people, and I learned this from Mike Pappas, a longtime trainer of our company, that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly.
And I know it sounds cliche, but it's very true. And so we really focus on that, and people will, I think, see. They don't forget how you make them feel, and they see through when you have an agenda that's different than their own. So I think focusing on that and then and really committing to that makes a big difference.
100%.
And just being being a bumper, to a bowling analogy. I have a 6 and 8 year old, and
right.
If we didn't put bumpers up on bowling lanes, they would be throwing gutter balls every time. And so we all kind of need those bumpers in life sometimes. So look for opportunities where you can be a bumper to keep people on the lane, on the right track in life. If you're always looking for those opportunities where, let me be an encourager, let me just help someone through this time they're in, then I think if we all did that, that's how you build a really strong community, not just a company, but that's how you make Knoxville stronger. And so I love the idea of that.
Oh, I like that too, because like I said, when you were talking about earlier, dealing with doubts and self-confidence, or having those bumpers in play and playing that key role in somebody's life of, being that encouragement to help them to get past, where they're struggling with. Like you said, will make not only, that situation better, but, the community as a whole better.
That's the idea. And it's a great community, and just wanted to continue that way and carve out our place in it.
Wallace Realty has been around for 90 years. What's the next steps? What's the vision for the future?
Sure. Absolutely. We want to be at 100. My goal is all right, I got 10 years until we're 100 years old, and we want to be a proud 100-year-old company. I think that would be an amazing accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And we want to be, someone that's a strong, well thought of company in the community. And, we are growing. And so we want to serve supporting communities near Knoxville too. So we've just opened an office in Crossville and Dayton and Maryville,
Okay.
and so these outlying areas, continuing to look for those opportunities to partner with the right people with the right values that will carry our Wallace name and brand to serve communities that they serve. And so I think that's being more regionally focused and continuing to commit locally here to being the best we can be, so that we can be 100 years old and proud of it.
Absolutely. As America's getting ready to celebrate 250 years, Wallace is going to be right behind them at 100.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation today. As we kind of wrap up, I just want to point out one of the screens here at the end of the podcast will lead you directly to the Wallace website. And so whether you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, check out Wallace Realty with that. And then if you're at that point with kind of curious if you have any blind spots or gaps in your own personal financial journey, there's a QR code on the left that you can click. Or if you're a business owner out there looking for a free business valuation assessment, click on the QR code on the right and that'll take you directly to our business planning team. But we're so happy that you joined us today on The Climb as we get to learn a little bit more about Wallace Realty, and hopefully you were able to leave inspired and leave with new perspective from your own business. But keep growing and keep climbing. Until next time, thanks again for listening to us on The Climb. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Guardian, New York, New York. Peachtree Planning of Tennessee, LLC, is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Guardian. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PASS, Guardian, or Peachtree Planning, and opinions stated are their own. 892-7329.1. Expiration May 2028.